Public meeting and is being recorded. For those of you calling in, please ensure that you have muted your phone line by pressing *6. Thank you. And first, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Can I get approval of the minutes for July 5th, 2022, general session?
Development, the probate court's marriage license operations, and a change in cloud hosting for the new court case management system in the amount of $11,596,385.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adam Lukelt, Director of Technology, CI. This is an amendment to the SaaS and Services Agreement with Tyler Technologies at an increase of $2,785,110. First, this amendment adds additional monies to the services contract to support custom development to support clerk and court operations. Secondly, additional contract dollars and licensing have been added to support the probate court's marriage license application. Also, the contract amendment shifts the hosting of the new court case management system from Microsoft Azure to Amazon's AWS cloud environment. And finally, language has been added to facilitate better communication regarding go-live events, acceptance of custom development, and the timely publishing of custom reports. Pending any questions, I request approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 533-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 53322 has been adopted. Resolution number 53422. Resolution authorizing no-cost amendments to the Software as a Service Agreement and Services Contract to include non-disclosure language with Quicket Solutions Incorporated for professional services and cloud hosting software for the purpose of creating data integrations between the Odyssey Court Case Management System and other county justice systems in the amount of $1,548,326.
Commissioners, this resolution authorizes no contract amendments to the Software as a Service Agreement with Quicket Solutions, and so that we can move forward in the implementation of the integrations between Tyler's court case management system and the other Franklin County justice systems. This resolution will allow the county to begin sending legacy system data to Quicket Solutions for analysis, so individual county justice systems can communicate with the new court case management system before go live. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
Move both of 549. Skip over and come back to it. Okay. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 534-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 53422 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Next up, we have domestic relations. We're going to skip Resolution 549-22 and come back to it. So if we can go ahead with 550-22.
Resolution number 55022. Resolution authorizing the state fiscal year 2023 juvenile court funding application update with the State of Ohio Department of Youth Services in the amount of $5,068,559.23.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barb Reeves, Deputy Director. This resolution is requesting the approval of the 2023 funding application update with the Ohio Department of Youth Services. The court utilizes the grant funds to fund 17 employees and contract with various community-based organizations that provide direct services to the youth. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 550-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55022 has been adopted. Resolution number 55122, resolution authorizing appropriation adjustments related to various operating expenditures.
This resolution is requesting the approval of the transfer of $34,478 to PFM for the purchase of additional cameras needed for our Juvenile Intervention Center. Additionally, this resolution is requesting a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $67,000 for our special food fund. These funds are received from the Ohio Department of Education from the School and Lunch Program for meals received at our Juvenile Intervention Center. And lastly, we're requesting a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $300,132 from the Domestic Grant Fund to support the reception center. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
Okay, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 551-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55122 has been adopted.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to come back to 549 later on, so just hold tight.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, we have the coroner.
Resolution number 55222, resolution authorizing an extension of the contract with the Whitestone Group Incorporated for security services in the amount of $65,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Alvarez-Wright, representing Dr. Anna He Ortiz, the coroner. This resolution authorized an extension of the contract with the Whitestone Group for provisions of armed guard services for the coroner's office. The term of this extension is for 1 year and not to exceed amount of $65,000. The original contract was approved June 2018 under Resolution 042618, and there was a modified and extension approved on July 20th of 2021 under 0551-21. The prosecutor's office have reviewed the contract and have approved it to form. So pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
Okay, thank you. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 552-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55222 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Next up, we have the engineer.
Resolution number 53522, Prime AE Group Incorporated Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer with construction inspection services in the amount of $119,550.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Soulis, Government Affairs Liaison for Franklin County Engineer Cornell Robertson. Commissioners, this first resolution seeks approval to enter into a professional services agreement with Prime AE Group, consulting engineer, local firm. They were selected utilizing our qualifications-based selection criteria. And Prime AE will be assisting the engineer's office with construction inspection services at the Morse Road at Babbitt Road roundabout improvement. Pending any questions, Commissioners, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 535-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 53522 has been adopted. Resolution number 53622, resolution authorizing the Franklin County Engineer to enter into a contract modification with the Manick Smith Group Incorporated for construction inspection services, an increase of $118,291.51 for a revised contract amount of $238,291.51.
Commissioners, this next resolution seeks approval of a contract mod with the Manick Smith Group. They will be providing construction inspection services for a variety of projects as we need them throughout the year. It's necessary to modify this original agreement to provide for the additional services given the number of projects we have. Pending any questions, we ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 536-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 53622 has been adopted. Resolution number 53822, Report third of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation and damages for a portion of the owners of property abutting Reynoldsburg, New Albany Road, County Road number 6, at Havens Road, Township Road number 203, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $25,650.
Commissioners, this next resolution seeks compensation to one property owner located on the project at Reynoldsburg, New Albany Road at Havens Road. This is in the northwest part of Franklin County in Jefferson Township. This improvement will be widening Havens Road Bridge over Blacklick Creek and creating a roundabout at that intersection. We were unable to negotiate with the property owner, and therefore we are recommending that appropriation proceedings be commenced. We have been working with the prosecutor's office in proceeding with this action. So we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 538-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 53822 has been adopted. Resolution number 53922. Report fourth of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation and damages for a portion of the owners of property abutting Reynoldsburg, New Albany Road, County Road number 6, at Havens Road, Township Road number 203, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $100,685.
Commissioners, this next resolution, similar to the last, is requesting approval to seek appropriation proceedings, working with the prosecutor's office. It is the same project. This property owner, we're unable to reach a compromise with. They are located on the northeast corner of this intersection, and we request your approval and can answer any questions.
Okay. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 539-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 53922 has been adopted. Resolution number 54022. Report fifth of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation for a portion of the owners of property abutting the Reynoldsburg, New Albany Road at Havens Road Improvement Project, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $47,162.
Commissioners, this next resolution involves the same project. In this instance, we were able to successfully negotiate with the property owner, basing values on fair market value, and we are awarding this property owner compensation and damages for the portion of the property that we are taking for this project. And pending any questions, we respectfully ask for your approval.
If
Hold
there-
on. Are we on we're on 540, right? So, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What do we?
We have a public hearing.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
For the next one.
We have a public hearing.
That's for the next.
Oh, I
I
thought, I
thought
was like,
that's what we were on. We just
did
did,
539.
we just passed
Yeah,
539.
Yes, we did 539.
So
540, Commissioners, is just another comp and damages. The public hearing is for 553.
Oh, it's confusing.
yeah, that's weird how they have it on here. It's because it's before. Yeah.
Okay.
It should be like with that. I know what why you did that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Do we have a motion?
We'll do it.
Yeah, change it. Yeah. I'm sorry. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 540-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 54022 has been adopted.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have a public hearing. Can the clerk please read the public hearing?
Resolution regarding establishing, altering, and widening of the Clark State Road, County Road number 95, and Wagoner Road, County Road number 106, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
I would like to open the public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone here to speak on this resolution in person or online? Seeing and hearing none, I would like to close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 55322, establishing, altering, and widening of the Clark State Road, County Road number 95, and Wagoner Road, County Road number 106, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed, engineer to file plans as necessary.
Commissioners, on July 5th, this board adopted a resolution declaring this project necessary, located in the northeast part of Franklin County, again in Jefferson Township. On July 26th, this board did view the improvement project, and this resolution is the second step in the legislative process, whereby you authorize the engineer to prepare plans as necessary for the construction of this project. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we respectfully ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 553-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55322 has been adopted. Resolution number 55422, Report 11th of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation for a portion of the owners of property abutting the Elliott Road and Hayden Run Road Drainage Improvement Project, Brown Township and Washington Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $4,318.
Commissioners, this particular resolution authorizes compensation for property acquired as part of the Elliott Road and Hayden Run Road Drainage Improvement Project, located in the northwest part of Franklin County. We have successfully negotiated with the property owner, and the compensation is based on appraised fair market value. Pending any question, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 554-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55422 has been adopted. Resolution number 55522, CDM Smith Incorporated, consulting engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer with general drainage engineering services in the amount of $100,000.
Commissioners, this resolution seeks approval of a contract with CDM Smith. They are a local consulting engineering firm that were engaged or chosen via the qualifications-based selection process. The CDM Smith will be assisting the drainage engineer with general engineering services, but specifically they'll be assisting us with federal funding opportunities created through the recently passed Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment Act and Jobs Act. So pending any questions, we request your approval.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 555-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55522 has been adopted. Resolution number 55622, resolution authorizing non-general fund supplemental appropriations for various road, bridge, and ditch maintenance projects.
Commissioners, our final resolution seeks authorization of non-general fund supplemental appropriations for the Motor Vehicle and Gas Tax Fund. The requested amount is $5,835,000. This appropriation request includes new capital improvement projects and carryover capital improvement projects from 2021. I've got a list if you would like, if you have any additional questions with respect to that. The money is coming $5,685,000 from the Motor Vehicle and Gas Tax Fund and $150,000 out of the Ditch Maintenance Fund. So I'm happy to answer any questions, Commissioners. Otherwise, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 556-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55622 has been adopted.
We appreciate that, Commissioners, and thank you, utilizing a point of privilege granted to me by President Crowley. Commissioners, in light of the recent NACO conference and the focus of the program at the NACO conference, we wanted to take just a moment to provide you with information that the Franklin County Engineers Office is doing with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and specifically our efforts with HBCUs. So Simone Burley, our Diversity and Inclusion Coordinator, is on the line, and with permission from President Crowley, just a very brief presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, my name is Simone Burley, and I am the Diversity and Inclusion Coordinator of Franklin County Engineer Cornell Robertson. And thank you for the opportunity to share that we will be hosting an HBCU Civil Engineering Career Expo in conjunction with HBCU Week, which will be held Thursday, September 22nd from 9 o'clock to 2 via Zoom video conferencing. We have 26 firms signed up to participate in 5 government agencies, 4 government agencies, and COMTO, the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. We will be having a panel discussion from 1 to 2, and the Honorable Commissioner Erica Crowley will be a panelist on that panel. And the goal is to introduce HBCU students to career opportunities and internships in the Central Ohio area. So we just wanted to share that information, and we are looking forward to a great event. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
No, thank you for that. We just got back from NACO and had a whole workshop on DEI and A, so I appreciate that you came back, a week later and got right to work on that. And I look forward to having information sent out, so if people want to sign up and participate, they can get it on their calendar ASAP. So thank you, Simone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Absolutely. Okay, next we're just going to go back so we can wrap up domestic relations. If we can bring back resolution number 54922.
Resolution 54922. Resolution authorizing a 3-year contract with Nationwide Children's Hospital for medical services in the amount of $900,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barb Reeves, Deputy Director. This resolution is requesting a 3-year contract with Nationwide Children's Hospital in the amount of $300,000 per year, which provides emergency outpatient services, emergency dental, pharmacy services for youth in our Juvenile Intervention Center. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 549-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 54922 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Next up, we have the Sheriff's Office.
Resolution number 55722. Resolution supporting the Sheriff's Office to add 1 additional participating agency in the countywide DUI task force.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our resolution approves a contract with the City of Columbus to be a participant on the current DUI task force. This grant runs through September 30th of this year. Adding the City of Columbus to our task force will bring the current membership to 22 participants. Pending any questions, I request passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 557-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 55722 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Next up,
You
we
too.
have Office on Aging. Thank you.
Resolution number 54122. Resolution declaring intent to proceed with the question of a renewal tax levy for the support of senior citizen services to the electors of Franklin County at the November 8th, 2022 general election.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Blarick with the Office of Management and Budget, and I'm also a member of the Human Services Levy Review Committee. After a thorough analysis of the Franklin County Office on Aging levy request, the committee recommends that the Board of Commissioners place a renewal of the existing 5-year $1.75 million levy on the November 8th, 2022 ballot. The renewal levy would commence in 2022 and first be collected in calendar year 2023. There will be no additional cost to taxpayers with the renewal levy. A homeowner of a $100,000 owner-occupied house currently pays $41.13 annually for the senior services levy. With the successful passage of the levy, the Office on Aging would be able to maintain quality services for the seniors of Franklin County who need them. The resolution today is the second and final step in the process that would declare it necessary to submit the question of the tax levy for the support of senior services to the electors of Franklin County to the Board of Elections for the November 8th, 2022 ballot. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
All righty. If there are any comments?
Did you want to, were you speaking to it?
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Shonda Wingo, Interim Director for Franklin County Office on Aging. The Senior Service Levy first passed in 1992, so that's 30 years. And it is the primary funding source for senior options. Senior options serve more than 10,000 seniors annually and more than 60,000 seniors through our grant programs. So we look forward to the work that we have ahead, working forward and have this levy appear on the ballot. And thank you for your time this morning.
Absolutely. I saw Commissioner Marilyn Brown walk in, and her and I had a really great discussion the other day about the levy and senior options, and all of the services that it has provided our seniors over the course of 30 years. However, we know that there is much more to be done to support our aging residents here in Franklin County. And so this is just one thing, but I know we will continue to have that conversation. I know that's very important to Commissioner Boyce as well, that we do more. And I know we're collecting data on housing and looking at how we can expand services to our residents. So Commissioner Boyce, I don't know if you had any comments to this.
I'm sure. Thank you, President Crawley. And I would just add my sentiment as well that I really, there's not a more important group within our regional demographics that we want to extend resources to, need to extend resources to, and while this is a renewal, I know that there are many folks who understand that these services impact lives. My mom is a senior, and I take her to the doctor each week, and have a lot of she has a lot of needs, and there are many seniors around me that also do. And so what we can do as a county to support those families, support those seniors, and provide resources is really a critical aspect of the quality of life here in Central Ohio. So I don't have any more comments or questions. Although, what is the average amount that someone pays for currently for the current?
The current one,
Yeah.
it's about $41
Per 100
annually.
per
So
That is per $100,000 in value is what the levy calculation is based upon. It's a very modest amount when you consider the impact in the community. In county administration and our deputy administrator for health and human services and interim director Wingo has been constantly talking about how we amplify efforts to the availability of these services in the community. And in the 2023 budget, we are looking at a package of additional enhancements that you all have called for to amplify our ability and outreach in the community. I also like to say we are just happen to have both of our esteemed co-chairs of this levy effort, former Commissioner Marilyn Brown and NAACP President Nana Watson, who are going to help us and be ambassadors in the community and ensure that we pass with flying colors.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just briefly before he makes the motion, can you, for the people who are in here or watching online, just say what senior options provides or this levy provides, just brief, like summary?
Absolutely. So the mission of the Senior Options Program is to provide services and support to our seniors to remain in their home safely and securely as long as possible. So that could be as simple as a grab bar to get in the home, a ramp, emergency response systems, free delivered meals, transportation, minor home repairs as a whole, respite. I mean, there's so many services. And so we recognize that work. And I almost forgot to recognize the FCOA team. My apologies. Today we have with us our Assistant Director of Supportive Services, Caroline Rankin, and our Assistant Director of Operations, Barbara Sullivan, and our Administrator of Quality Insurance, Larice Cohen. They have been a part of the team for many years as well. And our grant programs offer additional services around technology, other community involved, multi-generational program, social connectedness, all of the things that are important to seniors and their families.
Go ahead.
while I have this opportunity, we are also looking for talented individuals that have a will to serve our 60 and over population. So if audience, anyone you know who's interested in working for Franklin County Office on Aging, we welcome them. I know we are actively recruiting an assistant director, chief financial officer. It's an excellent position, an excellent opportunity to have impact in the community. We are hiring for Team Franklin County. We are
Team
hiring.
Franklin County. Okay. I just want to say, as we move forward, one thing that I have heard a couple of times, and we could talk more offline about it, is as our aging residents continue to age, with that, their mobility or ability changes as well. So you have those that are differently able. So when you talked about technology, everybody doesn't have the opportunity to use a mouse and things like that, or they become hearing impaired. And so just want to make sure that we look at that, or visual impaired, and we take those things into consideration as we're providing services, but that we also do so for those who are differently able. So, all right, thank you.
All right. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 541-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 541-22 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Next up, we got child support enforcement.
Resolution number 558-22. Resolution authorizing a 4D contract between Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Franklin County Clerk of Courts in the amount of $135,107.55.
Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Brown, representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. I ask your consideration this morning in approving the resolution to authorize the CSEA to enter into a one-year interagency agreement with the Franklin County Clerk of Courts beginning July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, in an amount not to exceed $135,107.56. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse the Clerk of Courts for expenses associated with the filing and maintenance of documents, including all motions, complaints, investigations, and other document entries required in the course of the CSEA business and in service of process. Each unit of service defined as a CSEA-initiated court docket entry will be reimbursed at a rate of $3.11 per entry, with a total of 43,415 entries anticipated to be devoted to this contract. The performance standard will remain to process all filings within 3 business days. The decrease in this contract over last year, $76,527, is due to a reduction in billable units based on an analysis from the previous year's monthly invoices. The Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Clerk of Courts have a long history of successful collaboration in the establishment and enforcement of child support orders. Pending any questions, I request this resolution be approved.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 558-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 558-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Susan. Have a great day.
You as well.
Thank you. Next, we have Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
We have community partnerships.
Oh, shoot. We have community partnerships. I don't know why I checked that off already. Yep, community partnerships. Sorry.
Resolution number 559-22. Resolution authorizing a COVID-19 recovery grant to Bridgeway Academy to provide educational services to youth.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Curtis Brown, Community Partnerships Coordinator. This resolution will be providing a COVID-19 recovery grant in the amount of $250,000 to Bridgeway Academy to provide educational services to youth. This grant funding will allow Bridgeway Academy to provide services for families of color, immigrant and refugee families, and families living in low socioeconomic communities. Bridgeway Academy will work with community partners such as Columbus Early Learning Centers, ETSS, and Central Community House to deliver music and physical, occupational, and speech therapies, mental health, and psychological services in centers where children and families are already seeking resources. And pending any questions or comments, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
So you know it was an accident that I skipped over this one,
you say
because
so.
I love, I'm sorry, Curtis. Yeah, okay, you try to be spicy this morning. But, you know, I absolutely love Bridgeway Academy. There's nothing I wouldn't do for them, because when we talk about kiddos, especially those who have like autism or on the spectrum, or are neurodivergent, they really just wrap their arms around kiddos and their families. And so looking at our partnerships and how we are trying to connect the dots and streamline our effectiveness with how we fund programs. The thing that they're doing with Columbus Early Learning Centers is going into every childcare space and testing the kiddos for developmental disabilities, hearing, and all of those things. So early on, we can know where kiddos are and what services they may need, even as we're looking at 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds before they go on to kindergarten. So I love this resolution. I love the partnership. CELC has a space in Bridgeway. They serve about 96 kiddos in their pre-K program, but we'll be going to all of those, all of CELC's programs to do testing, and then hopefully bringing them into Bridgeway Academy as they transition and with their family. So thank you so much for this partnership, for this resolution.
Sure.
I do have a question, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, I agree with everything Commissioner Crawley just laid out. What I worry about, and I feel like I have been consistent with this, is, we give these grants, particularly using COVID grant funds, I worry about sustainability. And so what is the game plan? This is a one-time grant. It's a lot of money. That money will have to be replaced by that organization at some point, and we will not have that money to replace. So what is the sustainability plan for Bridgeway when this grant funds are gone?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Commissioner. As I have also done with our community partnerships for this year, have been working, looking at best practices for financial sustainability, specifically in the nonprofit sector. So I plan to do the same with Bridgeway Academy and monitor their process and their progress closely over the grant cycle.
So I can just say for them, they have gotten, they have just started getting funding from the state. They've gotten funding now from the county. They have a huge philanthropic community where they have continued to raise funds. That's how they were able to purchase their new building in my former district right off of 70. So they have capital campaigns every year. And so just like, I ask the same question, what sustainability looks like for every single person, an organization that comes before. That's one of the ways that they will continue to provide the services, as well as a partnership with CELC. They have, like I said, they're together and they partner.
I'll just add on the same line of questioning. What I'd prefer is a very specific plan when agencies, I can appreciate that all of these nonprofits have plans to raise funds. They all have plans to go after grants and seek grants and those kind of things. But what I look for when I'm evaluating whether or not to approve funds is, do you really have a very specific plan to cover those funds next year? Because I already know how this plays out. I've been doing this a long time. And next year will come, and these funds will be gone, and that agency will come before us and say, we need that money from your general fund, and we'll say no, and then they'll say, well, here's the impact of you saying no. We got to cut this program, cut these staff people, cut this impact. And I'm on record right now saying that when those agencies come next year, I'm going to be looking at the administration to say, because these were fundamental questions we asked about sustainability. And so I can appreciate the general, they're going to all, go out and we're going to try to monitor them, but that doesn't raise money. And again, and I'm not admonishing you, Curtis. I think you're doing a great job of evaluating these, but I'm telling you, I know how this plays out. I know how this plays out. These are one-time funds. We got to emphasize that with these agencies, and they got to come to the table with a plan, with a real plan to raise that money, and it's for their own good. It's for their own good, and you know what? Finally, I'll say they don't have to have it all cooked up. Where okay, entity A we're gonna receive $50,000 from this agent app going forward, and this, but we should hold the feet to the fire about let me see what you're planning to do to address this gap in this fund next year. And $250,000 for any nonprofit is a lot of money to have to cover. That's a lot to make up. If it was $50,000 or $75,000, I might feel one way. But when it's that much from one-time pots that we're getting, if we were general funding these, I might feel a certain way. But when we're not doing this, we haven't funded out of general fund. I believe that there are going to be a lot of stress on our resources over the next couple of years, our general fund resources. And so, I support this resolution. I support this allocation, but I'm worried about our use of these funds. And
thank you for, I appreciate your concern, Commissioner Boyce. Also, just to mention that.
Is there a mic on? It feels like it's not.
I believe so.
Okay.
Is it? Also, just to mention that Bridgeway Academy is also a Medicaid provider, and I think that's important to mention as well. But also to your point about specific plans, as I mentioned with the community partnership organizations, that is my plan, is to work with every organization to come up with tailored solutions to that organization when it comes to sustainability. I do understand that that is a very important point of yours that you have concerns with, which is fair, but I guarantee you that I will be able to work with every organization with keeping sustainability in mind. And also,
y'all heard him just say he guarantees it, right?
Yes.
I heard him say that. Okay,
I also am on record,
that's on the record. He said, "I guarantee it." Okay,
Take it back.
Take it back. Yeah.
Yes, but
he said, "I guarantee it." We're gonna keep that.
Because I understand, I understand how important that is to you. So, just to put that out there, and I've worked with all the commissioners' staffs as we go along the grant cycle.
No, I think what one, I know that when they submit their proposal, and I know that this was supposed to be captured with some of the other grants, and
correct.
There's some other stuff that happens, but ahead of time, especially when I meet with the organization, instead of trying to capture it on the back end, that they have a plan in place that's written out, not as much to the T. I have every T crossed, I dotted. Because that can be hard, but what is the plan before it even gets to you or gets to us, and then we're trying to help them figure out over the grant cycle, what sustainability looks like. But this was supposed to be included with one of the other ones that would have been renewed over.
And some organizations I've also met with, we just started our community partnerships grants, but I've already met with some organizations regarding sustainability, because we discussed that in our kickoff meeting about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, again, I'll just say one more time, because I feel like I've been doing budget work for a long time, and there's no worse position to put elected officials in than to have to make the tough cut, what appears to be a cut, but it was only one-time money in the first place.
Exactly.
And so I just want to be very clear to the agencies that we're giving these funds to. These are one-time funds that we will only give them. It's not a stream of funds that we get every year for, in perpetuity. This is one time, and so it's so critical. We are doing them a favor by pushing them for a sustainability plan. And again, like I said, you don't have to have it all cooked up, but having some sense of it will be important, because I will be very disappointed when we're here a couple of years from now and agencies are saying you're cutting this, and these kids are not going to have this program, or this family is not going to have access to this program if you cut this. It's like, no, we're not cutting it. It was a grant,
Exactly.
and that's over for us. And I believe that You look at, we're officially in a recession. If you look at the lag time, what economists predict in terms of impact on things like consumption tax, which sales tax, so we are, our primary resources. These are areas that we have to start thinking about this year going forward. So these grant funds are a tremendous resource for us, and we'll get them out, share the wealth with everybody. But what we've got to be, the diligence and the discipline for us is to be focused on sustainability. Love the program, I'm supportive of the allocation, but again, the next year budget cycle, I believe, is going to be a little tougher than this year. So be ready for that. Okay. Thanks, Curtis.
Thank you.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 559-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 559-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Have a good one. Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Resolution number 560-22. Resolution approving a contract agreement with Rev 1 Ventures to provide grants, training, and assistance to women and people of color in the amount of $115,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Marlise Ryan, Franklin County's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, your Economic Equity Administrator. This resolution I bring before you this morning will support one of our goals we have established, which is to expand economic equity collaborations with our community partners. This resolution is a contract with Rev 1 Ventures to build upon their prior success and continued growth of economic impact through the attraction, support, and funding of high potential of small businesses within Franklin County. The scope of services that will be provided include foundational business training for women of color, to better prepare for customer learning labs and diversity pipeline of women and Black-owned led companies with this grant. 4 cohorts are planned for the remainder of 2022, serving up to 60 small businesses. Each cohort will be a 9-week accelerated program designed to introduce business owners and aspiring small businesses to tech-enabled products and services. Rev 1 Ventures will allocate the funds for Black-owned entrepreneurs in the amount of $115,000. Virtually, we have Christy Campbell from Rev 1 to give some remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioners and County Administrators. Thank you again for your ongoing support for our mission. This grant fund and related educational opportunity in partnership with Aventi is going to provide critical support for women and founders of color who have not had access to the required resources to help them build high growth potential companies here in Franklin County. We see this as just an initial program being seeded with this work, and we're hoping that with your support and the support from the City of Columbus that we'll be able to bring on the private sector and helping to really expand this program beyond just the initial program. Very much welcome your comments and questions about our plans. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 560-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 560-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 561-22. Resolution authorizing a grant agreement with the National African American Male Wellness Agency to provide programs to address the poor health outcomes of African American men in Franklin County in the amount of $400,000.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. D'Amica Withers, Chief Economic Equity and Inclusion Officer with the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Commissioners, this resolution is a request to grant $400,000 to the African American Male Wellness Agency, who has made it their mission to change health disparities among African American men and their families. This funding will support African American males' physical health, mental health, financial well-being, and fatherhood and research. Black men have experienced the lowest life expectancy and highest death rate compared to both men and women of other racial and ethnic groups. On average, Black men die more than 7 years earlier than other groups. This funding will support $50,000 to Cooking with Dads, financial empowerment, and HIV Awareness Day programming. $250,000 for Real Men, Real Talk to stimulate conversation with Black men around mental wellness and address opioid addiction amongst Black men, and $100,000 in sponsorship to the African American Male Wellness Walk being held on August 13th, 2022, where Black men will have access to health screenings and engagement. We have CEO John Gregory here of the National Center of Urban Solutions and his family and other men and women of the African American Male Wellness Agency here for comment and questions.
Thank you. First of all, we do understand that this is a one-time financial thing. And we need to go find some other money. So we are already talking to some other people about funding us. So we get that. But I would like to say, give a suggestion. I think that part of that is maybe the county might want to look at providing an opportunity to do business development with nonprofit organizations so they can create opportunities to learn how to go out and create money opportunities for themselves. Mm-hmm. Remember, nonprofit people are just doing it because they have passion and they want to see change, and they don't always have the skill set to go out and raise money. And so I think that we ought to do something that's ongoing to show people how to go out and look for money like they do in corporate America. With that being said, I just want to say thank you for your opportunity. We want our Kenny Hampton. He wants to start out and say something.
Good morning, Commissioners, and I serve as the Vice President of the African American Male Wellness Agency, and the agency is founded by Mr. and Mrs. John Gregory, and we are trying to do exactly what we say, and that is serve the community, serve our African American men, by being able to provide free health screenings at all of our events. Some of the programming that was just read, at every one of those events, we're providing those health screenings because we're trying to close the gap this year. There's a 12-year gap that exists right now between the life expectancy of African American men and white men, where our men are dying at the age of 67 years old to preventable diseases. And so we're being intentional by making sure that we provide for most of our men that one time that they learn their numbers this year. And so we can't thank you enough for the seed that you have sown into the African American Male Wellness Agency. Commissioner Boyce, thank you so much for serving as the 19th annual this year, our honorary chair for the African American Male Wellness Walk. We appreciate you for doing that. And I believe that we're going to also share some other announcements about what's coming up this weekend, where on August the 6th, Mrs. Gregory, I'll go ahead and let you do the honors of sharing that information.
Don't steal my thunder, Kenny.
No, don't do that.
First of all, again, we want to thank you for supporting what we do. As most of you may have heard, that we've expanded our initiative not only just to focus on Black men's health, but to focus on women of color. Mm-hmm. And so this Saturday, we have coined Uplift Her as an expanded initiative for the African American Male Wellness Agency. It'll be this Saturday at St. Charles Preparatory, where women will receive free health screenings and education on health. Our focus, we call it HBO, so where we're focused on heart health, breast cancer, and ovarian. So we're asking for women to come out and get HBO screenings. So thank you again for your support.
Thank you.
So with that being said, I do want to say that when we talk about equity in our community, one of the things, we're doing a large project for Abbott and ADA, and one of the things we found is that there's true inequity as it relates to African Americans, particularly around technology and telehealth. African Americans don't have the ability to access telehealth because they don't have computers, they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have the knowledge of how to use, particularly our seniors. And so we're engaged with companies like Johnson & Johnson, Genentech, Abbott, what have you, to really close that gap. And with your seed funding, I wanted to say this to you, the county commissioners. This is about Black men. And there's a paper out there that talks about in 2030, Black men will be at the bottom of the totem pole. So what we do, and I was just in Louisville last night, Kenny and I talking to the University of Louisville, and they acknowledged the fact that Columbus, the county, the commissioners here in Franklin County, that they called out inequity and racism as a health crisis. And it's a health crisis because what we don't do is we don't have specific things that really focus on what we're going to do as it relates to black men particularly. And so I want to say to the commissioners in Franklin County, there's 10,000 black people who live in Reynoldsburg, and we're out there. The agency hit 50,000 doors over the last 12 weeks asking folks, are you getting vaccinated? We've taken vaccinations to their household to get them vaccinated. We are making sure that we just had a mental health workshop where we had over 500 black men come and talk about mental health crisis. But when they come to us, we have 40 black physicians that work with us, led by Dr. Joseph from the Ohio State University, where if they come to us, the physicians themselves have all agreed that even if they're at different systems and they need to see a black man, they will see that person from a specialty perspective. We also make sure if they come to us, if they need a job, we can talk to them about how they get a job. If they need employment, we can give them some technology training so they can get a credential and a certification. So it's a holistic approach that we're having to make sure that black men can participate in Franklin County in a way that makes it holistic so we can support their families and so they can support themselves. And the one way that we want to eliminate, I don't care what you do as it relates to crime, if you do not change the person's economic status, you do not change crime. And so we got to make sure that in the African American community, we are providing economic solutions to African American men so they can be self-sufficient and take care of their families. And thank you for your support. And we will make sure that we have money so we don't have to come back here.
May I, Madam President? Thank you so much. Well, let me begin by saying, actually, these are not one-time funds. These are general funds. So that's why I was checking with Ken to be sure these are funds that we've allocated from our general funds. And the reason why that's important to note is that speaks to a deeper commitment and understanding of what we're trying to accomplish here. And it also speaks to our value set. When we declared racism as a public health crisis, it's not just a catchy phrase. It's put your money where your mouth is and I'll show you your value set. And that's where we are. That's why we are committing to this. And quite frankly, we were funding this. I know since I've been a commissioner, we've been participating and engaging in this effort with general funds. And that, again, it speaks to our level of commitment. But I want to address a couple of things that I think are important. One, you touched on it. I think Ms. Gregory touched on it. And that's that when you go to the Wellness Walk, there are people from all walks of life, every gender, every background, every part of the city, and there are literally thousands of people who come and experience a screening. And so it's not simply about African American men. We know that African American men are at the bottom rung when it comes to many health disparities: hypertension, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, mental health, so on and so forth. But yet we also provide a platform to bring our community together so that everyone can engage in resources that are free to them and figure out a health game plan going forward. And that's, to me, what I like most about it. The other part I want to talk about when Mr. Gregory was talking about the funding element, what I like about the way the Wellness Walk approaches this effort is this isn't just a Central Ohio effort and strategy. This is a national strategy. I've actually participated in the walk in 3 other cities. And I can tell you, this is a conversation that there are many counties other than Franklin County that understand the crisis that we are in dealing with black men and health issues. And so this investment goes far greater than Franklin County. It is a great leveraged resource to, as they say, a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's really the idea with the Wellness Walk. Finally, let me say that our health status and situation affects so many other things. African American men are generally at the bottom rung in dropout rates, graduation rates, prison going rates, death rates. And when you can address some of the health disparities, you can begin to build a platform to which anybody can exist on, but more importantly, thrive on and be in a place where they can support their family, support their community, and be very engaged and active in other things. And so that's why we make this investment. That's why this is a commitment that we've made with general funds, not just today when we've got a a wave of resources from the federal government, we've been committed, will be committed, and we understand that this is a part of Franklin County's value set. And that's a difference in how we approach this. And so I'm on record to say that we are partners in this conversation because we understand what this means to the broader community. And so the date is August what? August 13th at 7 a.m. Okay.
August 13th for the African American males, but August 6th, this
for
Saturday.
the Uplift Her.
For Uplift Her. And
Right.
Commissioner Crawley, if you're available, we would love, we have a reception at 5 where the Honorable Joyce Beatty will, she's our honorary chair this year. So if you would like to, if you're available, come and have a few remarks, we would love to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And so I just conclude with, again, I really feel very strongly that this is a partnership in addressing something that is a part of our core value set. And I hope you'll hold our feet to the fire. Of course, we want to think of creative ways to engage other resources, other partners. And I think you do a good job of that. I think you work hard at it, and you set the example for other nonprofits. So with that, I don't have any more comments or questions, Madam President.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw you take your mask off. I didn't know if you had any comments. Okay. So I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I just want to highlight that two things. Yesterday was National Minority Donor Awareness Day. August 1st is always National Minority Donor Awareness Day. And as a living organ donor myself, this will be 20 years that I donated my kidney to my great aunt. I think especially in the Black community, there is stigma around organ, eye, and tissue donation that absolutely can save a life. Black men are the least likely to sign up to be an organ, eye, or tissue donor, whether living or not. And I would love to just have conversations around breaking the stigma around that. What I was able to do gave my great aunt another chance at life and living longer, not having to go on dialysis. She had kidney disease, not having to go on dialysis, and having her life impacted that way. And so if I could do it again, I would. And so just wanted to talk about that. The other thing, Mr. Gregory, that you mentioned is crime. And so, and changing people's economic status. Black males right now are leading in suicide deaths by guns. Suicide deaths in general is increasing among Black men, but those with using a weapon to end their life continues to increase. And so I appreciate the conversations that you all are having around mental health and being okay to talk about not being okay. As someone who has specifically talked about depression and anxiety in this space, I do it just because I want other people to feel comfortable having those conversations. And so I really appreciate the investment that we have, especially expanding your capacity to have those conversations in the community here in Franklin County about breaking the stigma. It's okay to not be okay, but it's okay to also ask for help when you need it. So again, thank you for all that you are doing in this space. I look forward to seeing you August 6th for Uplift Her. I absolutely will be there. And I will also be there supporting the chair, my colleague, Commissioner Boyce, on next Saturday for the race.
Crawley?
Yes.
You should know that every month we have a Real Men, Real Talk conversation in the community where Black men are coming to get mental health conversations, and we have mental health professionals there. And we normally have an average about 30, 40 men that show up. We're having conversations with fathers about fatherhood, and it really is interesting. We're launching a specific thing with your dollars to do Black men between the ages of 18 to 24. And we have some football players from The Ohio State University who are going to help lead that up, because we know that is the fastest suicide rate amongst young Black men are committing suicide. So I want you to know that we are now focusing on that particularly to make sure that we are reaching that population particularly, so that they have an outlet for suicide. We have a 1-800 number we're launching so that people, Black men who just want to call in and talk to somebody, they can talk. So we see mental health as being very extremely important.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, if,
Okay, you have go ahead.
I thought I didn't have anything to add, but I just want to commend the African American Male Wellness Initiative. I've been following Mr. Gregory's work for quite some time. The Fatherhood Initiative is another area that you all stand out, and you all have incredible credibility on that issue. You all made Proud Dad something in our community before it became a hashtag. Before I said Proud Girl Dad, you all were promoting African American fatherhood. You all were a big help when we were kicking off the Step Up to Quality and showing fathers dropping off their kids at child care centers and showing that fathers could and should engage in the learning of their children from the beginning. So I know you all are comprehensive in your approach, but I just didn't want this conversation to end to not specifically point to the work you all are doing in the area of promoting fatherhood. Thank you, President Crawley.
Thank you.
thank you so much. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 561-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 561-22 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day. Next up, we have Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 542-22. Review of petition to annex 71.6 more or less acres from Madison Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-24-22.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Snap, Chief Operating Officer with Economic Development and Planning. This resolution is to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation petition of 71.6 acres from Madison Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes property located at 5700 Winchester Pike. It's east and north of Winchester Pike, west of Bryce Road, and south of Bachman Road. Petition was filed by agent and attorney Laura McGregor Comack, attorney at law of Comack Law, and she is in attendance should you have any questions, on behalf of the owner, Harriet S.B. Levin. 26.2% of the site's perimeter is contiguous to Columbus, and the city passed ordinance number 1768-2022 on June 27, 2022, indicating the services that will be provided once the annexation is approved, and a statement regarding possible incompatible land uses and the zoning buffer. The petition meets all the statutory requirements outlined in section 709.021 of the Ohio Revised Code, and pending any questions, I would request your approval of this resolution.
Great. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 542-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 542-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 543-22. Review of petition to annex 9.887 more or less acres from Hamilton Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-25-22.
This resolution is to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation petition of 9.887 acres from Hamilton Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes property located at London Groveport Road, that's south of London Groveport Road, west of Shook Road, north of John Glenn Avenue, and east of Canal Road. Petition was filed by the agent Suzanne P. Bell, President and CEO of the Columbus Regional Airport Authority, on behalf of the owner, the Columbus Regional Airport Authority. And for the record, Mark Kelby, Airport Planner, is in attendance on behalf of the Airport Authority if you have any questions. 74.6% of the site's perimeter is contiguous with Columbus, and the city passed ordinance number 1774-2022 on June 29th, 2022, indicating the services that will be provided once the annexation is approved, and a statement regarding incompatible land uses and the zoning buffer. Petition meets all the statutory requirements outlined in section 709.021 of the Ohio Revised Code, and pending any questions, I would request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 543-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 54322 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks. Next, Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 56222. Resolution approving a subaward agreement with the Vincentian Ohio Action Network for workforce recruitment and training services in support of the new Franklin County Cafe Overlook in the amount of $257,811.64.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bart Logan, Job and Family Services. VOAN, the Vincentian Ohio Action Network, specializes in assisting justice-involved and restored residents, and through their accompanying returning citizens with HOPE or ARCH program, they support un- and underemployed individuals in helping to find jobs. They will be partnering with Service Relief for Hospitality workers to recruit and receive referrals and train residents for opportunities with Cafe Overlook. Trainees will receive 40 hours of soft skills training, as well as access to ongoing wraparound supports and burial removal services. The OAN will also partner with ECDI to help provide food industry recognized certifications around safety. The participants will receive $1,000 in training stipends, and once employed will receive wages starting at $15 an hour plus benefits. And VOAN will also continue to provide ongoing career counseling, as well as help in identifying career advancement opportunities in the food service industry for these new employees. Pending any questions, we respectfully ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 562-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 56222 has been adopted. Resolution number 56322. Resolution approving a contract with Advocacy and Communications Solutions, LLC, for consultation services to assess the feasibility of redeveloping the site of the former Franklin County Corrections Center to serve as an early learning center in the amount of $150,000.
Commissioners, we recognize that access to affordable and high-quality childcare is a barrier for many Franklin County families, including many employees here with the county. And that's why through this contract, we're going to be exploring the feasibility of redeveloping this site to serve as an early learning center. This is one of those reasons why, I'm really proud to work for Franklin County, because we're talking about right here is tearing down a jail and putting in a child care center. But there isn't exactly a blueprint for anything like this, and that's why we are partnering with Advocacy and Communication Solutions for this feasibility study. They are a locally owned, they're locally based and women-owned business that has worked with us in the early learning sector and worked nationally and internationally within this area. We're going to work with them to conduct a quantitative survey to access the child care needs of Franklin County employees. They'll also help us develop a framework for the operations of this possible child care center, and then complete cost modeling estimations to associated with implementing and operating the center, with a focus on ensuring that educators are receiving a living wage. For the record, we do have Scarlett Bowder, the president at Advocacy and Communication Solutions, available if there are any additional questions. But pending none, we will ask for your approval of this resolution.
The only thing I would just add here, I agree with you, is that's such a important distinction to tear down a former correctional institution and put up something with such future and hope. And it does very much speak to our value set. The only thing I would say to Ms. Bowder and the team that is doing the evaluation is to be very, very aggressive at ensuring that employees who what's right with this? Maybe are earning on the lower end of the county's wage scale. I hope that they have priority. I hope that that we can maybe work that into our benefits package and really use that as a resource to help recruit and retain really good people, but moreover to support some of that benefits cliff drop-off issue that we have and allow them to flourish. And so I want to just encourage them to be as creative and aggressive as possible. I think this is one of those things that really can set us apart from other entities that are hiring folks.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Scarlett has anything that she wants to say. I'm excited about this. So as I talk about having a career in advocating to break that preschool to prison pipeline, just the thought of tearing down a jail is a statement in and of itself. And all the county's commitment to early childhood education and learning and building those social and emotional bonds so they don't, the social bonds is what, as they grow older, keep them from engaging in criminal activity and then going into our jail system, our criminal justice system. So I'm excited about this as part of the master plan. And I know Scarlett can speak to all the things that we have, talked about around the feasibility study. And I think also we were looking at first responders or possibly included in that to support, especially those who might be on, second or third shift, those places where providers are limited in a lot of different places. But glad to have you here, Scarlett.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the consideration of this critical work. I couldn't put it better than what Bart just expressed. So, President Crawley and Commissioner Boyce, we want to look at the future of not only the early childhood workforce, but the future of the young people and the parents and caregivers that will rely on this facility for the future and be as thoughtful and creative as possible to think about ultimately maybe it is 24-hour care and to prioritize county employees and those who are on the lower end of the compensation scale. We all know that this type of project is an economy enabler in addition to actually changing lives. So as childcare is across the country, although it is not elevated like it is in this county, it can be a game changer, a life changer, and a community changer. So this is how we are approaching this project. The big number one piece will be looking at the cost analysis. And we've talked about this, and we want to look at the perfect world scenario and then see how we can get there over time. So once the jail is down and we begin to have this conversation, I liken this to not a flip of a switch, but a dimmer. We're going to slowly raise that bar and have something in Franklin County that can do all the things that we envision with that Child Care North Star, which we're doing in other ways and have set a foundation through JFS with this type of approach.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
I'll just say that, again, on the cost analysis piece of it, to really think of it in terms of like a healthcare benefit too, or fringe benefit of some sort, as opposed to just a straight up sort of, equation that looks at costs versus revenues or whatnot. And this is something that I suspect will have an element of subsidy involved.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the cost analysis, you can slice and dice the approach to this literally 1,000 ways. But it's very clear from our conversations, just strategically, that we want to be creative. We want to prioritize employees of the county, the workers at that facility, and do what's best for the children that are served by that facility. So absolutely. And the firm that we work with across the country has been in this space for a long time and has done work not only in Ohio, but across the country and internationally. So they're going to bring to bear some really creative ways in which to analyze the cost and the benefits to the project.
Great, and I spent the better part of 2 years on the economic mobility network for NACO and traveled the country looking at various programs that were designed to address poverty reduction, and so forth. And one, NACO has some great resources that we should tap into. And then two, I'd like to engage with y'all a little bit because I have seen a few things out there that may not be on the radar screen, but from my visits to other counties as far as EMLN, there might be some things that we should think about. So I'd love to get an opportunity to meet with you along the way as well.
And Commissioners, Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator, the other piece that I just wanted to add is that one of the pieces that Scarlett and team are looking at are a drop-in center for families who are visiting the courthouse complex for a host of different reasons and have a safe place that they can bring their kids for a period of time while they're visiting this downtown complex. And so part of the survey work is trying to get a gauge, in a sense, from our fellow county agencies about what that scope and scale looks like in addition to county employees.
Yeah, I've got some thoughts about that as well, and some experience and exposure to that in some other counties. So I'd love to be engaged in that conversation.
Terrific. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
All right. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 563-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 56322 has been adopted. Resolution number 56422. Resolution authorizing the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services Director to enter into a sub-grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services for the provision of the Refugee Support Services.
Commissioners, Franklin County is the only county job and family services agency to receive the state refugee social services funding. In March of this year, we were notified that we were awarded funds to help with eligible newly arrived refugees across central Ohio help relocate in Franklin County, both Delaware as well as Fairfield, Licking, Madison, Pickaway, and Union counties, and address challenges and barriers to employment, including language, education, and work skills. This resolution authorizes the director to enter into a sub-grant agreement with ODJFS, the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, to accept these funds for state fiscal year 2023, as well as enter into any future amendments for the continued provision of refugee social services programming, which includes workplace English language instruction, basic employability, job placement, and retention services. Again, this is to enter into the agreement with ODJFS. We will be bringing a resolution, assuming the assumption, the passage of this one, we'll be bringing a subsequent resolution to administer the funds to our RSS partners. And pending any questions, we respectfully ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 564-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 56422 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners. And just one more quick plug around hiring this Saturday, August 6th. Franklin County will have its first career fair for the Franklin County Futures Program. That is taking place from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Teamsters Local Union 284. That is on 5555 East Rich Street in downtown Columbus. And anyone interested in a career with Franklin County is invited to attend. Interviews will be conducted on site for qualified individuals. And we've got additional information available on our social media. Thank you.
Awesome. Exciting. Thank you, Bart. Next up, we have Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 54422. Resolution authorizing a contract with Virtual Case Manager for web-based case management software licensure through the fiscal year 2018 SAMHSA Medication Assisted Treatment Grant Program in the amount of $1,900.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Administration. Rochelle Pride, Director for the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Virtual Case Manager's integrated web-based system will be used to continue collecting, tracking, and managing details about client information and their service needs. Built on a centralized database and utilizing a common information platform, the VCM consolidates client information and record keeping into a uniform, confidential, and collaborative system. This digital case management software system will allow the Office of Justice Policy and Programs to continue conducting real-time service reports and obtaining geographical snapshots of service needs, frequency, and the volume for justice-involved population here in Franklin County receiving services through the SAMHSA Medicated Assisted Treatment Program. The term of this agreement will commence July 1, 2022 and terminate June 30th of 2023. Pending any questions, we would seek your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 544-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 54422 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Public Facilities Management.
Resolution number 54522, resolution authorizing recycling of information technology equipment declared obsolete by the Franklin County Automatic Data Processing Board.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Alexander, Chief Operating Officer for Public Facilities Management. Periodically, this agency is asked by the Data Processing Board to assist with the recycling of obsolete surplus IT equipment. We do so in a manner consistent with the board's commitment to promote sustainable principles in our policy decisions and programs. Pending any questions, we request your approval to dispose of this e-waste. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution, please.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 545-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 54522 has been adopted. Resolution number 56522, resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute a modification to the contract agreement with Wanner Metal Works Incorporated to perform additional miscellaneous steel activities associated with the construction of the Franklin County Correction Center Continuation Phase 2A in the amount of the contract not to exceed $135,142, and authorizing the county administrator to approve and execute additional minor modifications to the contract agreement in the amount of $2,450,417.
Thank you. Commissioners, this resolution, in February of 2021, Wanner Metal Works was awarded a contract agreement to perform miscellaneous steel activities associated with the construction of the continuation phase of the new Franklin County Correction Center. This resolution authorizes a modification of the contract agreement with Wanner to perform additional miscellaneous steel activities such as refinements to the metalworks. Any unused funds will be returned to the county. Wanner is a certified VB business, veteran business enterprise firm. As you are aware, the Correction Center construction project has an established small and emerging business enterprise, SEBE, aspirational goal of 12%. This project remains on track to exceed the aspirational goal with a SEBE commitment of 30.09%, approximately $89.2 million as of 6/30/22. Pending any questions, PFM respectfully requests your approval of this contract modification with Wanner Metal Works.
All right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 565-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 56522 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a nice day.
You do the same. Next up, we have Human Resources.
Resolution number 56622, resolution appointing Michelle Lindeboom as Director, Social Services and Innovation, Department of Job and Family Services.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sue Hamilton from the Department of Human Resources, here to talk about Ohio Revised Code 32901, which provides for the establishment of a county Department of Job and Family Services with director appointed by you. The position is currently vacant, although necessary for the effective operations of the agency. Today, for your consideration, is a request to appoint Michelle Lindeboom as Director, Social Services and Innovation of Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services, effective August 2nd, 2022. This resolution would authorize also the county administrator to take all the additional actions to facilitate the appointment of the position, not inconsistent with all the laws, including ORC 329, Franklin County Resolution 898-16, or this one. Ms. Lindeboom will be required to give bond in the amount of $15,000 conditioned upon the faithful discharge of the duties. Ms. Lindeboom is more than 30-year employee of Franklin County Job and Family Services, having started as a case manager and promoting into various supervisory roles of increasing responsibility. For the past 8 years, she has served as the agency's Assistant Director of Operations overseeing the administration of public assistance benefit programs, including SNAP, Medicaid, and TANF, to serve more than 400,000 Franklin County residents. Ms. Linda Boom is here today, as is Deputy County Administrator Joy Bivens, who, after her comments and pending any questions you may have, we would respectfully request your approval of this request.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joy Bivens, Deputy County Administrator of Health and Human Services. Since 2015, since my appointment as Director of Job and Family Services, we have worked diligently to improve the agency in tremendous ways. Upon becoming Director of Job and Family Services, we had lobbies that were overfilled with people. We thinned those lobbies out. 24% of our child care centers only had stars. Today is 97%. Working with the Administration of Job and Family Services and looking to the future, as we look at a new leadership structure in Job and Family Services, both Michelle Lindenboom and Vivian Turner will operate in dual leadership. Today, we have 163,000 people who receive SNAP. 60 of those people, or 60% of that population, are children and seniors. Pre-COVID, we had 318,000 persons and families receiving Medicaid. Today, it's 434,000. Due to the changes that are taking place in the state and across the nation with the public health emergency being lifted, the next 2 years is going to be really difficult and really challenging, particularly for Job and Family Services. Michelle Lindenboom, who I term as growing up with the agency, is equipped. She's diligent. She understands the operations. She has the relationships that I believe to have the difficult conversations with the state, which is needed. And I will work with her and Vivian in their dual leadership role as we begin to move not just Job and Family Services forward, but the community forward as it relates to being one of the largest safety net issues in Franklin County. With that, pending any questions, I would ask for your approval, and Michelle Lindenboom is here today to answer any questions that you may have.
Let me start, Madam President.
Oh,
May?
yeah.
Okay. I would start with maybe asking the prosecutor's office to just speak to our ability to structure this department this way.
Under the statute, Commissioners, the authority to select a director rests with the Board of Commissioners. And therefore, there is a director position and only one director position in accordance to the words of the statute. You are selecting the first resolution, that director. And so that's permissible. The operation of the unit is to separate job duties associated with the position. Some of those job duties are set forth in the statute directly. Those will be maintained and part of the director's position. The office itself has separated other positions or other duties and accordingly have made those part of the administrator's work, which you are permitted to do under the statute. But to be clear, there is one director and you're permitted also to select an administrator with associated duties to that.
Thank you, Ms. Hummer. The only thing I'll just say here, and I don't feel like we need to get all into it. Let me start by saying to Ms. Lindenboom and Ms. Turner, I'm familiar with both and know them to be outstanding and amazing. Franklin, tremendous in these particular roles that they're being given, and I'm confident about their abilities and their leadership capabilities. I will say to the administration, I'm not a fan of this structure. I made that clear privately to Deputy Administrator Bivens. And the reason why is because I believe that we need consistency from one department to the next. I think that when you start to formulate treatment of one department in a certain way and the others in a different way, you get the same type of results. You get different results, and expectations become different, and the communication becomes different, and it's just harder to manage long term. That being said, I'm not the administration. My role is not to run the county in the way the administration does. My role is to hold the administration accountable to what the expectations of the public are through my role as the elected representative for Franklin County. And so I'm not going to tell you how to run the administration. I'm not going to tell you to do it, but I will hold your feet to the fire. And this is core to our value sets and our beliefs as a county. It is what we do as a county. It is perhaps the most important resource that we can provide to the public, that we are ordained to provide per the Ohio Revised Code and the role that we play with the federal government. And so what I don't like is I don't like inconsistencies. And I would say to the administration, it would be my hope that as you look at this as somewhat of a pilot structure, that you think about this same kind of structure for Department of Aging, for PFM, for all the other departments, or economic development and whatnot. And so, because if it works, if it's good for JFS, why isn't it good for the other departments? And I just think that my last point is that I want to be on the record to say this. I believe I said it before, but you cannot make policy decisions based on the good people that exist in that position today. The policy positions have to exist no matter who's in the position. God forbid something happens to one of us, but that structure should be able to go beyond who the individual is today. I've said this as we've talked about the administrator and abdicating powers of the board. He's a good administrator. He's very trustworthy and honest and a good person and works hard. But what if he's not here in a year or 6 months? We can't have given our authority and the next person comes in and they aren't the same. They're not as trustworthy or as experienced as Kenner. And so we create these inconsistencies, create the possibility of opportunities for breakdown of the system. And that is from my experience on so many levels. And so when you're consistent, you can either you change the system and there's a flaw in that system structure, or you address whatever the issue is through the existing system. So I'm not a fan of this structure. It's nothing to do with Ms. Lindenboom or Ms. Turner. I think you guys would be. Am I saying your name wrong?
No.
Okay. I think they'll be great in their jobs. I've spoken with you very extensively about them and their capabilities, and so I'm confident in that. But I do not like this structure, and but again, it's the administration's job to carry out the duties, and so if that's the will of the administration, then it is what it is, and I'll support it. But make no mistake about it, I'm on the record to say I will hold your feet to the fire.
I have two questions. One, when it comes to bonding, I know that Deputy County Administrator Bivens, you were saying that there will be like dual oversight or roles. So when it comes to, and maybe it's in the next resolution, does Administrator Turner have to be bonded as well, or so then, because I'm looking at 329.01, and maybe it's in another section. It talks about the job functions, just that the County Director of Job and Family Services appointed by the Board of County Commissioners and such assistants and other employees are necessary for the efficient performance of the functions of the county department. And it just talks about the director, assistant, or employees. So, but I don't see like the bonding, since Michelle Lindenboom has to have a bond of $15,000, are those duties that are associated with the bond will just fall under her specifically. I'm just trying to get clarification on it.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. The way both of these companion resolutions are drafted, both individuals will have $15,000 bonds.
Okay, so I know that Janine, you were shaking your head, she does, where you were shaking your head to what?
I was shaking my head because what is the obligation regarding and what is the extra, which is permissive? And I believe County Administrator Wilson is allowing the more extensive permissive bonding to go
So
forward.
she's not required by the statute, just the director is required by the statute?
This is a building suspender
Okay.
approach, just because of the breadth of the agency and the number of contractual obligations that both individuals would enter into.
Mhm.
I just wanted to take the conservative approach and have them both bonded
Okay,
up to the $15,000 amount.
okay.
But Madam President, if I could just slide one question in here, because I feel like that then makes it seem that we're treating them both as directors. And even though one has the sort of director position, sort of the duties and there's only, the director is the only one that is required to be bonded. So when we're doing that, we're essentially treating them as two directors.
You're not permitted to treat them as two directors. They are, you can only appoint one director for Job and Family Services.
Well, okay, let me ask it a different way. I'm sorry, Madam President, if I could, because your question is right on point. Then, do we have any other examples of, like, in a county where there's a person under that director position that is also bonded?
We
Any
do.
other examples of
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. We do not, because of the unique nature of the Section 329 in the code as it relates to the Director of Job and Family Services. We don't have any other directors that are required to carry bonds. Some directors carry bonds by virtue of additional assignments they may have been given, but not directly to their statutory position.
I mean, that's why I say you just treated it like that. Okay, whatever. Okay, good.
The other thing that I want to know, and similar to Commissioner Boyce, you know how I feel about this. I've been vocal because I know we're also moving to a one-door structure, and you know, I just, you know, there'll be some recommendations that come out of that. That we're currently investing in to look at how to streamline services and bring all of those together. And so then in about, I don't know, 2 years, maybe 3, if that, because I know that that work has already been done, there may be a different recommendation for a different structure. And so I'm just concerned, I mean, I guess we have to have a director, but like then there will be another change possibly based on those recommendations that come from out of one door.
Right. If I can speak particularly to, and you're right, Commissioner Crawley, agencies were established as single agencies, and they've always functioned as single agencies, developing silos. And those agencies have always operated from the perspective of the policy that they were to be governed by the state and federal government. I don't think when the policy was set up, it considered 2023 or 2025 when we are looking now at integrating so that we make things less burdensome for people. To date, since we have to, when you talk about the one door, since we're doing this assessment in this landscape of what does it look like for no matter what door you walk in, you get the same thing. I don't know what it looks like for all of the agencies, but I will say this because we're too soon in the scope of the work. I will say this. Job and Family Services, as you both know, and I don't know if Commissioner O'Grady is on, is the largest agency. You have over 600 employees, a $90 million organization. What it was 5 years ago and this is just me being as honest as possible, what it was 5 years ago when I stepped into the role, it is not anymore because the pandemic has impacted greatly. As you will see in the next 24 months, the changes that it will go through, you have, again, 20,000 more people who are receiving SNAP services. You have almost 100,000 more people, 318,000. I think we're at 434,000 people now receiving Medicaid services. That agency is so large, and I understand the issue as it relates to, and I respect Commissioner Boyce and your perspective as it relates to, you know, the leadership structure. But the agency is so large, it's almost outgrown having one director and one person in leadership. So as it relates to the other agencies, if their work is as expansive, like particularly Office of AG could have the same structure as we continue to do this assessment. But for today, right now, that agency, the work has increased by at least 60% just because of the pandemic.
President Crowley, I'd like to make a few points regarding organizational structure, following up on DCA Bivens' comments. In looking at moving this agency forward, putting a premium on accountability and results, understanding the fact that prior JFS directors did not have a Rise Together poverty blueprint, was not working in concert with other health and human services agencies. Under a traditional structure, which I've been a part of a traditional structure, most of my time as an administrator at this level, Job and Family Services has reported directly to me. Under the old prior structure, that was just due to the breadth of the agency, due to the accountability, due to all of the points made by Commissioner Boyce about being results-driven and accountability. It would be organizationally awkward to have now a deputy county administrator of Health and Human Services that reports directly to the county administrator and have a traditional structure with the director of Job and Family Services reporting directly to the county administrator, as had been done in the past. Having all of the Health and Human Services agencies together under the direction of a deputy county administrator is something that has never existed prior to a couple of years ago. I am confident that this structure will work the way it's set up. About results. It's all about continuing the work and how we've been able to advance the poverty blueprint and working with community partners around those 13 goals, those 120 action steps and growing. The pandemic probably, if we rewrote the blueprint, it'd probably be 200 action steps because of how things have changed. But in studying this, we really needed today a different structure. It's true when we go through the one-door analysis that may change everything, but having a deputy county administrator of Health and Human Services, I think facilitates us thinking in an innovative fashion. But we won't take the attitude that if we see that it doesn't work, we won't change it. That's just not how this administration been trying to approach things over time. So we realize that our feet are to the fire. The results in being not only a leader in the state, but a leader nationally as it relates to the delivery of Health and Human Services, that will continue to be our quest. We have two very capable professionals in Michelle Lindenblum and Vivian Turner. So I'm speaking with confidence that I believe that they've heard from me enough. Will continue to hear from me indirectly, but not directing the report directly to me. So I just wanted to add those things and those thoughts around the organizational structure. And I appreciate you, President Crowley, Commissioner Boyce, in having the confidence and giving us this opportunity to move in this direction. I do appreciate that confidence and that opportunity.
And if I could just really quick, when we talk about accountability, I hear you both and I respect you both as professionals, but I want you to understand as well, if it does not work, I will hold myself accountable. Because again, I report to the county administrator, but they will be reporting to me and I will be working with them to build up that next leadership. When you all gave me Building Futures and you said failure is not an option, failure wasn't an option. We won a national award, right? When
We looked at the Step Up the Quality initiative in this community when 68% of Black kids in low asset neighborhoods receive publicly funded childcare, but we're going to a center that wasn't star rated. We just, you entrusted me to do something that county government has never done before, so much so that I received community criticism saying I was stepping in other people's spaces, and now we're at 97, 98%. You gave me the poverty blueprint plan. I didn't know what, it was mashed potatoes when you gave it to me. I didn't even know what to do, right? And look at us now. We have an innovation center. It's working. And on top of that, I've asked many of my community partners and stakeholders to sit here today, as well as the union president of Job and Family Services, to support both Michelle and Vivian as they have supported me. I don't have all the answers. Health and Human Services is changing every day. The pandemic has impacted people in so many ways. It's almost like we're playing whack-a-mole. And the issues that we're dealing with are issues that relate to the issues of social terms of health and racism. I feel like in my new role, an expanded role as the Deputy County Administrator of Health and Human Services, is to work with all the agencies and the stakeholders to look at ways so we can be more seamless. We can put targeted universalistic approaches and guardrails in place to make things more equitable, to change programming so we're looking things more from the human services value curve versus just feeding fish. But again, if this doesn't work, I'll hold my own self accountable. Yeah. I don't have anything else. I mean, I just want to say that this isn't no criticism to Vivian and Michelle. I think they are phenomenal. I think it's more criticism on the structure and the new structure. But you're right. And I'm excited that you are stepping in to an expanded role and being the Deputy County Administrator. I think your future is bright, and there's a lot of great work. We talk about innovation that you can really be doing in this space now that you have moved from the director and DCA to DCA. But I mean, we're here, we're supporting, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'll just say it too. I appreciate, Madam President, your comments there. I couldn't agree more. But something that stuck out to me what DCA Bivens said, and that's more people need more services. And I struggle fundamentally with the idea that if we see more services needed, that our approach is to get more top heavy, is to focus on the top end of the structure versus the service delivery. And I think that's something that you personally, DSA Bivens, do very well in terms of your skill set. You know how to get granular about taking on challenges and issues, and I'll give you that. But this is different. And as you said, this is the largest department. And, I'll just say this, there are 3 people in Franklin County that have to stand before the 1.3 million residents that live here and be held accountable. You all get to be held accountable internally and by the administrator and us. And we have to stand before the public and we have to demonstrate and illustrate to them that we are making the right decisions that lead to a better Franklin County, a stronger Franklin County. And so that's why we get so touchy about the work that you all do as administration. Yeah, at the core, at the heart of it, is what is being delivered as a service. But we're the ones that are held accountable. Make no mistake about that. And we take that very seriously. And then we have to go out. Y'all don't have to go out and stand in the groups and explain these things when something happens or when something doesn't happen, And so, not from my standpoint, I just want to be able to do it in a way that I can do it with confidence and do it with the same kind of vigor that you present for it. And so, again, there's nothing else to be said other than, again, I see this no differently than if I saw, the city of Columbus, carrying out some kind of program. I thought, well, I wouldn't structure it that way, but that's the city of Columbus. They do what they got to do. So the administration is the way I see it. As when I get all these letters from constituents and complaints, that's what I hold you all accountable for, and that's the measurement for me. And so we'll give you a chance to do it. Again, I'd say to the administrator, I hope that you're evaluating all departments in the same way, not just about the service, the the output of, how many people we're serving or not serving, whatever, but the best way to deliver that service, the best structure for to 2022, as DCA Bivens put it, we are thinking about cutting edge service delivery.
Yes.
And that's how I approach this. So with that being said, I'll support these two resolutions, and I'm very hopeful and excited for the two young ladies that will be leading in these two areas.
Commissioner, we didn't touch on Vivian as much as we have touched on Michelle and her skill set, but I think many of our community partners will say in the room that Vivian is very attentive to the work. She understands the issues as it relates to not just social terms of health, but the community feel as it relates to them being able to accept certain programmatic natures. She also is very in tune as it relates to the issues of racism, which is a tremendous issue outlined in the Poverty Blueprint Plan that the community, the people said was an issue of poverty. Vivian is a strong leader. She's a mature leader. She has a very, what I consider a very high emotional intelligence. I trust her in Michelle wholeheartedly. This is all I've known the last 6 or 7 years, so I hope you, this isn't work for me. This is personal. So I understand you as elected officials have to stand before the community. But every decision I make, I consider the empty chair in the room, the person that's on the street right now, the mom that's in the shelter. Mm-hmm. Every decision I make, I consider the community in relation to anything else and above anything else. This work is my legacy. It's my life's work. So moving forward in your vision, I see my job as raising up a new workforce, teaching them, again, policy, but also the issues of social determinants of health, and looking at our human services methodologies so that the decisions that we make are not just for today, but for the next 10, 15, 20 years to make our community greater. Mm-hmm. So thank you for allowing me to serve in this capacity. And again, I will work closely with both Michelle and Vivian. And again, if it doesn't, I hold myself accountable. But thank you.
Is there anything before you step away, since you have a whole bunch of folks in here supporting this transition, do you want to speak to them?
I think it would be good if our union president, mm-hmm. she is here and she reminds me, so she holds me accountable. And she lets me know she has the largest union.
Thank you, Commissioners and County Administrator, for giving me the chance to talk. I'm very passionate about Franklin County. I've been here with this one for a lot of years. I work very closely with Joy, and I believe in the vision for Franklin County. I believe that they are going forward. I'm old, and I'll be using Office on Aging Services, but I do believe that it is a vision to go forward. I believe in change. I believe in in Joy's vision and in the county's vision, because it's very important for the constituents that we serve, as well as the union. As the union's role is to be there to support management, not to go against. I'm not an enemy. I'm there as to make sure things are fair and that we proceed forward to help the community as a whole. And that's what my vision is, and I believe I back 100% the decision that Joy has made and what the commissioners are making with the initiative on poverty. It's about time that we work together. I've been here when it was the old way, the 30-year way that she talks about, one commissioner over here, one director over here at the agency having one idea and this one, and it didn't work. We weren't even really talking to each other. So for the first time in my career, I'm happy to hear that. And thank you for giving me the chance to talk.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I don't have, Stephanie, President Hightower has her hand up. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this is the first I'm hearing of this new role today. I have to admit, she wouldn't tell me anything. And I have to say, I am really excited about what this new structure is going to look like, and here's why. As you know, you are trying to, through the Poverty Blueprint, trying to develop a holistic approach to how we address those social determinants of health. And this way, I think this gives all of us the ability to have good people working with good people who know the system, who can now bring all of the parts together. We've already, through Administrator Bivens, we've already started working with Director Pride. We're already working with our seniors. We're already doing those kinds of things because we know that, especially with the Urban League's work, we have to be able to touch all of those lives to be able to come up with a holistic approach to dealing with our urban families, our Black and brown families, our families that are in poverty, and doing it in silos doesn't work at all. And we've learned that. So again, this is my first time hearing about it. Thank you for the opportunity, but I think it's fantastic. And so I know why you didn't tell me now, but anyway, congratulations. We've worked with both of these people in great detail. These are fantastic administrators we are bringing to the table. And so I look forward to working with both of them and continuing to work with the county to make this the best place for prosperity in Ohio.
So let me say this, John Hahn, Mary Lou Langenau, Anthony Trotman, all of those people I've worked with. So I've been around a long time. And what I would say is, and this is to the commissioners, Joy Bivens has brought something to the table that talked about there was an antiquated system in place to address something that we have all been talking about as poverty in this county. And I think the process that she's put together is unique because what it says is that we will no longer look at poverty from a single perspective, but we will look at it from a holistic perspective where everybody is engaged, involved in every place, and every piece is being touched by a unified approach. I think it's overdue. The system has been here for 30 years. And we got to do something different because now it's different. Technology wasn't here 30 years ago. How people do businesses wasn't here 30 years ago. And I think and then let me say, Joy, you have done an incredible job in your position, and we all admire how you brought the community together. I mean, no time before has the community partners all got together to talk. I mean, Stephanie and I talk more now than I ever talked to her before, because we see now that one system of delivering services is the best system. So I think that we know that Joy's not going to fail because we're going to be here working with her to make sure that this process succeeds. So thank you for your confidence in her, but she has us that we're going to support her to make sure this works and it's successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Anybody else? We'll call anybody else up.
Did you have anybody else that wanted to speak on your behalf?
I was expecting. This is not my meeting.
She waved me up and I said no, but I do. Hi, Gabrielle Winnell. I used to work at JFS. I'm currently at probate court with Judge Mackey. I have worked directly for both Ms. Turner and Ms. Lindeboom, and I've gotten the opportunity to learn from Deputy County Administrator Bivens through all of the leadership development programs that we worked on together, how important leadership and communication are to her. I hear you guys saying how important it is to you, which I truly appreciate in county leadership here. And I just want to say that both Ms. Lindeboom and Ms. Turner are very clear communicators, and they're great at setting expectations. And I speak from experience when I say they're not afraid to have hard conversations with people too. So I just wanted to throw my support behind these three amazing women and say thank you to all of you for giving them the chance to do this. Thank you.
You're fine. You're fine. I don't have anything else. else, Commissioners.
All right. Get a motion?
All right. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 566-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 56622 has been adopted. Resolution number 56722, resolution appointing Vivian Turner as Administrator, Department of Job and Family Services.
So the previous resolution was to appoint the director. This one is to appoint an administrator at JFS, which is authorized also by 32901. For your consideration, as you know, is a request to appoint Vivian Turner to the position of Chief Community Support Services and Partnerships Administrator of the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services effective August 2nd of 2022. This resolution, just like the other one, authorizes the county administrator to take additional actions to facilitate the appointment not inconsistent with the revised code or any Franklin County resolutions. Ms. Turner will be giving bond in the amount of $15,000. Ms. Turner is more than a 10-year employee with Franklin County Job and Family Services. Since 2018, she has served as the agency's Assistant Director of Workforce, Child Care, and Strategic Partnerships, overseeing the agency's workforce and public-funded child care programs and initiatives, more than $65 million in TANF, Title 20, American Rescue Plan, emergency rental assistance, and general fund funding annually to community partners to support Franklin County residents. Ms. Turner is joining us today via Zoom, and I don't know if Deputy County Administrator has any other things to add, but we would respectfully request your approval of the second part of this structure. Pending any questions.
Thank you.
Just for the community partners in the room, Vivian is still will be operating, and on who are watching, Vivian will still be operating her same current role. She will still be the face of the contracts and the partnerships and the work in that regard. Michelle Lindenboom will continue to oversee the opportunity centers and the daily operations.
All right. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 567-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 56722 has been adopted.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Next, we have purchasing.
Resolution number 54622, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $5,727,045.40.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry, Balanier, Director of Purchasing.
Marlise Ryan, Economic Equity Administrator, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
This first resolution requests your approval of 59 purchase orders, which represent a consolidated batch of agency POs from what would have been the July 12 and July 19 agendas. The funding for these POs has been pre-certified by the county auditor. Marlise has the supplier diversity data for this resolution.
Thank you, Megan. We have for your approval today 6 purchase orders that are being presented to award to 3 women business enterprise, 1 small and emerging business enterprise, and 2 minority business enterprise, totaling $214,106.62. The following agencies have increased supplier diversity within Franklin County: Public Facilities Management, General Services, the Fleet Department, Court of Common Pleas, and the Sheriff's Office.
Pending any questions, Commissioners, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 546-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 54622 has been adopted. Resolution number 57422, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $4,673,117.99.
Commissioners, this next resolution requests your approval of 173 purchase orders, which represent a consolidated batch of agency POs from this week and those carried forward from July 26th. The funding for these POs has been pre-certified by the county auditor.
And this week, we have 20 purchase orders that are being presented to award from small and emerging businesses, which includes 6 women business enterprise, 1 LEDE, 3 small and emerging, 10 minority business enterprise totaling $458,000, with the following agencies increasing supplier diversity within Franklin County: Public Facilities Management, Sanitary Engineering, the Recorder's Office, Prosecuting Attorney's Office, Clerk of Court, Sheriff, and Engineer's Office.
Pending any questions, Commissioners, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 574-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 574-22 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Next up, Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 548-22. Resolution authorizing the creation of the One Ohio Opioid Settlement Fund for receipt of payments pursuant to the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Zach Tularic with the Office of Management and Budget. Previously, the Board of Commissioners approved Resolution 615-21, accepting the terms of the One Ohio subdivision settlement pursuant to the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding. Earlier this year, the Auditor of State issued Bulletin 2022-003, recommending that each participating subdivision accepting funds under the settlement agreement approve a resolution establishing a special revenue fund for the local government share of funds from the settlement to be used for the approved purposes. This resolution would authorize the creation of that fund titled the One Ohio Opioid Settlement Fund. Pending any questions, would ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 548-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 548-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 568-22. Resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the Franklin County Family and Children First Council.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize the memorandum of understanding that sets forth the statutory obligations of the council and outlines the agreed-upon obligations of the various parties, including the Franklin County Board of Commissioners and the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services. This memorandum of understanding has a 2-year term from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. Pending any questions, would ask your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 568-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 568-22 has been adopted. Resolution number 569-22. Resolution authorizing a contract with Maximus Consulting Services Incorporated for the annual updates to Franklin County's cost allocation plan and the data center's cost analysis and rate study in the amount of $73,000.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize Maximus to perform the services for both this year's planned as well as next year's. The contract amounts are $36,500 annually, with $19,000 allocated to the cost allocation plan and $17,500 to the data center's cost analysis. The 2020 cost allocation plan identified $4 million in indirect costs that will be invoiced and paid back to the general fund in 2022, while the data center's cost analysis and rate study identified an additional $3.8 million in chargebacks to reimburse the general fund. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
Move for adoption of 569-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 569-22 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Resolution number 570-22. Resolution authorizing a second modification to the contract with the City of Columbus for sewage disposal from the Franklin County Sewer District contract areas.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Jesse Armstrong, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. This resolution would authorize an amendment to the existing contract between the county and the City of Columbus for sanitary sewage disposal services. This amendment is necessary to expand the scope of the Franklin County landfill owned and operated by the SWACO to allow additional services, sanitary sewer services that pertain to that property. The City of Columbus has already approved this proposed amendment at their July 25th City Council meeting. Pending any further questions, I would request your approval of this resolution. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 57-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 57022 has been adopted. Resolution number 57122. Resolution authorizing the county administrator to terminate human resources consultation agreement.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator. Earlier this year, with Resolution 19322, the Board authorized a Human Resources Consultation Agreement. This is with former Human Resources Director Rob Young. Originally, we had anticipated that contract to go through the end of this year, but by mutual agreement, we are able to terminate that agreement early. And the process to do that is to send a letter from the county administrator to Rob Young to terminate that agreement early upon mutual agreement. And so this resolution would authorize the county administrator to terminate that agreement no later than August 12th. Pending any questions, would recommend your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 571-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 57122 has been adopted. Resolution number 57222. Resolution reappointing Julie Exner to the Franklin Park Conservatory Joint Recreation District Board of Trustees.
Commissioners, pending any questions, would recommend the reappointment of Julie Exner to this board.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 572-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 57222 has been adopted. Resolution number 57322, a resolution approving solely for the purpose of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, the issuance of by the Columbus Franklin County Finance Authority of not to exceed $55 million multifamily housing revenue bonds, Series 2022 Retreat at Scioto Creek project.
Hello, Commissioners. This is Jean Carter Ryan with the Columbus Franklin County Finance Authority. As you know, we occasionally come before you to ask for elected official approval to support different types of projects that are eligible to be financed tax exempt under the Internal Revenue Code. We need an elected official approval to move forward. This is an exciting affordable housing project on the southwest side of Columbus on Hall Road, just south of Georgesville, or just north of Georgesville Road at 270. It's a big project. Hard costs are $40 million. There is going to be 12 three-story residential buildings. It really helps address, this big affordable housing problem we have. In order for the project to move forward, we need elected official approval. We have a team of folks here available to answer any questions you may have. Kip Wallers is bond counsel from Ice Miller. From the developer Ascent, we have Mike Rodriguez and Senthil Rajakrishnan. Happy to answer any questions.
Who are the underwriters?
The bond will be directly purchased by merchants. So under this structure, there really is no underwriter. But Merchants is doing it directly.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 573-22.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Resolution number 57322 has been adopted.
Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any journalizations for today?
Yes, there are two. The first, Resolution 53722 has been removed from the agenda at the request of the county engineer and affirmed by the county administrator. Removal was made prior to the item being presented at a public meeting and pursuant to parliamentary procedures and open meeting requirements. This process was approved by the Franklin County prosecutor. And the second, case number ANX-29-22, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition, ANX-29-22, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on July 22, 2022. The petition is requesting to annex 10.63 acres from Jackson Township to the city of Grove City. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on August 23, 2022. Site 2110 White Road, PID number 160-002476.
Thank you. Are there any members of the media who would like to ask any questions? Hearing and seeing none, with no further business to come before the board, we are concluded for the day. Everyone have a great Tuesday.